Hello, this is Carlos from the Church of Christ channel. Please subscribe. So today I wanted to do a real conversation, but before I start, thank you to all my new subscribers. I'm working on two things right now. So coming out with Analyzing the Teachings of Jesus part number 2, still working on that, and working on part 3 of End Times. And of course I'll do more Bible reviews and lessons and stuff as we approach those videos. But today, the real conversation I want to talk about, leadership is not about where you start, but it's about the journey and how you finish. All right? Leadership is not about how you start, but it's about the journey and how you finish. Okay? This is 2 Chronicles chapter 24. Okay? You see where we're going with this. Joash was 7 years old when he began to rule, so he was young. And he ruled for 40 years in Jerusalem. His mother was Ziba from Beersheba. Joash did what Yahweh considered right, as long as the priest Joadah lived. Joadah got Joash 2 wives, and Joash had sons and daughters. After this, Joash wanted to renovate Yahweh's temple. He gathered the priests and the Levites and said to them, "Go to the cities of Judah and collect money throughout Israel to repair the temple for your Elohim every year. Do it immediately." Okay, but the Levites didn't do it immediately. All right. So the king called for the chief priest Joadah and asked him, "Why didn't you require the Levites to bring the contributions from Judah and Jerusalem?" All right. Now, this is just showing like how dedicated he was to, get the temple and all of that kind of stuff. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is, I want y'all to read the rest of this, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip through this chapter because I want to get to this part. Okay, so Jehoiada was old, and this is verse 15. When Jehoiada was old and had lived out his years, he died. Okay, he was 130 years old when he died. He was buried in the city of David with the kings because of the good he had done Israel for Elohim and the temple. Okay, after he died, the officials of Judah bowed in front of the king with their faces touching the ground. Now pay attention. Then the king listened to their advice. Okay? They abandoned the temple of Yahweh Elohim of their ancestors and worshiped idols and the poles dedicated to the goddess Asherah. This offense of theirs brought Elohim anger upon Judah and Jerusalem. Okay? And so, let's go to verses 20. Okay, so the Ruach Elohim gave Zechariah, son of priest Joadah, strength. Zechariah stood in front of the people and said to them, "This is what Elohim says. Why are you breaking Yahweh's commandments? You won't prosper that way. Yahweh has abandoned you because you have abandoned him." Look at what they did. But they plotted against Zechariah, and by the king's order, they stoned him to death in the courtyard of Yahweh's temple. King Joash did not remember how kind Zechariah's father was, Joadah, had been to him. Instead, he killed Jehoiada's son. Okay? So basically, at the end of this, there was an Armenian army that attacked Joash, okay? And Joash ended up dying. See, they killed Joash in his bed. When he died, they buried him in the city of David, but they did not bury him in the tomb of the kings, okay? And so that was verses 25. Okay, so I want to stop right there. So What we have is Joash, who was a king of Judah, okay? And basically, he was a very young king, very young. Started out 7 years old reigning. And he had the priest Jehoiada. And as long as Jehoiada was around, Joash basically went the right direction. But when Jehoiada died, he had a son, Zechariah, and he had some of the princes telling him and the officials telling him, let's abandon this worshiping the God of Israel, and we're going to go to idol worship. So that's what they did. All the work that they had done to renovate the temple and all of that was out the way because he listened to the wrong people. Then when Zechariah tried to tell them what was right, they killed him, and even the king, Joash, had him stoned. And the Bible talks about how he didn't even remember the kindness that Jehoiada had towards Israel and even to the temple. All right, then so after all of those things happened, Joash ends up dying, and as a result, he wasn't even buried near the kings. So what's this teach you? First of all, it's not about how you start, but it's about the journey and how you finish. You notice that Joash was in check as long as Jehoiada was around. But when Jehoiada died, he basically listened to the wrong people. Then he had a son, Jehoiada had a son, and he wasn't heeded. He wasn't heeded, even when they try to tell him right. And see, you have leaders that, they have this, they lead for a long time. They end up listening to the wrong people. And then it's like the good people that they had in place, they don't remember, It was all about them and not about, serving God, okay? Now, hint, hint, this goes a lot to the World Economic Forum and all of that. You have these people in place, and they don't know God, and they want to rule other people. And this is what happens. At some point, God is going to, repay, that. But going back to this, leadership is always about the journey. You have to listen to the right people. You have to have the right counsel. Not only that, you have to remember, who put you there in the first place. You have to remember those things. And I think Joash forgot those things. And also, because he was a king, it doesn't mean he can't fall to disgrace. This man, when he died, he wasn't even buried in the valley of the city of David near the king, near the tomb of the kings. So, always remember that leadership is not just about how you start. It's about the journey and how you finish. Always. Always. All right? And this is Carlos from the Church of Christ channel signing out.